Hey everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. Here we are, the beginning of July. And as most probably know, we had a very warm June in certain parts of the country. And I know that I did a What's Up Wednesday a month and a half ago or so on sun protection, but a topic that's really come up a lot recently is heat stress and preventing heat stress. Now, as we probably know, Texas was seeing temperatures with a heat index in the 110 to 120 range for parts of June. And we can probably expect to see comparable or similar weather as we look at July and August. And we're finding a lot of factors really leading towards heat stress. What causes it? What are kind of some of the warning signs, or what are some of the predictors of heat stress? And it may sound a little funny, but out on the West Coast, we have maybe some of the stricter heat stress requirements. I'm in Washington State, and we actually have to implement a heat stress prevention program when we hit 70 degrees Fahrenheit, which may seem like absolutely nothing because that's a winter temperature in some parts of the country. But the reality is this: in the warmer parts of the country, say Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, among many other states, the heat and humidity can be very significant in the summertime. And I would say that the workforce tends to acclimate a little bit better than, say, somebody out on the West Coast, where one day it's 60 degrees and the next day it's 95 degrees. It's just something that is more difficult to adapt to, much like the people from the warm climates, excuse me, who really don't adapt well to the cold in the winter. It's very, very similar in those ways. So some of the things that we've seen that are leading towards a prominence or prevalence of heat stress are the fact that some of these things are not a surprise, but that the workforce is potentially partying the night before they go to work, and they're coming in dehydrated. They're not taking in their fluids. So dehydration is a key issue there. And some things that may lead to that, again, alcohol consumption the night before, drinking energy drinks instead of water. Now, energy drinks are a point of contention with many companies, and we're actually seeing them being banned or prohibited because of some of the negative effects. I would say another really big factor, which is obvious, is a lack of consumption of water. So coming in dehydrated and then just seeing that amplify with the heat and the humidity, because you're already coming in dehydrated. And then if you're not hydrating very quickly, you can kind of get behind the curve and it can start to escalate significantly. And another one that just came up that I hadn't considered and really thought about is people not eating in the morning, not eating breakfast, coming in with an empty stomach can actually lead towards predominance towards getting heat stress. So some things to think about. And, as employers, we need to make sure to educate our workforce, number one. Number two, try to schedule our work in a manner where we're maybe starting earlier in the day on really hot days and getting off earlier so we can avoid the afternoon sun. I know I've mentioned this before. Another one would be cool zones, tents or shelters or connexes, potentially with cooling fans. I know that a lot of job sites will have somebody who runs around handing out Squincher popsicles or a cooler full of Gatorade or Squincher drinks. Again, cold water. And they say, in sports that it's best not to drink cold water. You should drink lukewarm water. But when we're in extreme heat conditions, having something colder on the inside will help to cool the core a little bit faster. So just some things that we can do. But I would say that number one thing that we need to do is educate people on what they're doing before they come to work, and then training them on the risks and the hazards and what they can do to protect themselves. And then also measuring that regularly, trying to get a pulse or temperature on where people are when they come into work, maybe in the safety meeting, and then getting them hydrated before they go out into the field or out into the plant floor, the shop floor, and then setting an expectation on how much water, how much Gatorade, how much Squincher they should drink every 20 minutes to an hour consistently throughout the day. And again, some of these things will change depending on what the heat index is, how hot it is, how humid it is, and they will vary. But ultimately, it's going to come down to us educating them and putting every prevention strategy we can to avoid somebody ending up in the hospital and potentially dying from this. So, something to think about as we hit the summer, and hopefully that helps. And we'll see you next week.